Interesting. Peace to the live. What's going on, family? Let's see. Can you guys read that? The great wisdom of Tehuti. Great wisdom of Tehuti. Do not limit yourself to the emerald tablets. That should be readable. What's going on, family? So this is another live. Try to keep this under 2 hours. We're gonna talk about the great wisdom of Tehuti, aka known to the world as Thoth. Okay, Thoth is the Greek name. Tehuti is the African name. Jehuti is a name that came later, based off the name Tehuti. Okay. And simply going over who and what Tehuti was, understanding that when you hear the word Thoth, the name Thoth, when you hear the name Tehuti, allowing your mind to begin to understand what this is talking about. Okay? It's very popular. Peace, baby D. Peace, God. It's very popular for people to have heard of the emerald tablets, but I'm here to explain and bring and shed light upon the nature of what the emerald tablets are versus what the great wisdom of Tehuti is. Okay? The Metu Netter system by Ra-Un-Nefer Amen is what I study and practice. The great oracle of Tehuti, the Egyptian system of spiritual cultivation. Now this is distinctly different than the emerald tablets. All right, one thing I want you to understand about the emerald tablets is that the emerald tablets is it is more of a imaginatory, poetic interpretation of African spirituality. Ancient Egypt, actually known as ancient Kemet, is the place where the principle and the power of Tehuti was cultivated and understood. Okay? The emerald tablets does not come into existence on planet Earth until 900 AD. Anywhere between, 500 and 900 AD. The principle of Tehuti goes back at least 4000 BC in the land of Kemet. So when you hear people talk about the emerald tablets of Thoth, okay, I want you to understand something. Just because you go online and you look up the emerald tablets of Thoth, and you read into the emerald tablets, and it tells you that the tablets are 30,000 years old, I want you to understand something based on my research of looking into these tablets. There is no evidence that exists on planet Earth in this universe to support that the emerald tablets are 30,000 years old. The only place that says the emerald tablets are 30,000 years old is the emerald tablets itself. So I'm not coming for your religion. I'm not downing your belief system. But let me say, in the Bible, if the Bible is the only place that says Adam and Eve existed 6,000 years ago, I'm just going to give you an example. If you look anywhere on planet Earth and you can't find any evidence of Adam and Eve existing 6,000 years ago, and only the Bible tells you Adam and Eve existed 6,000 years ago, what you have is a lack of evidence. The same thing applies to the emerald tablets of Thoth, okay? I'm not saying you shouldn't read them, but what I am saying is, if you want a more accurate, if you want a more applicable, something you can test, understanding of Tehuti or Thoth, you're gonna have to go past the emerald tablets. So what I'm saying, in a long story short, is that the emerald tablets is more in the realm of imagination, and the Metu Neter series by Ra'u Nefer Amen is more in the realm of practicality and application and accuracy. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna look up real quick, because it doesn't take much to see the emerald tablets origin. What in the heck? I don't even think it might have been 900 AD. '12th century, 1200s. Okay, 9th century, so 900 AD. Okay, that's how far the emerald tablets goes back to. Okay, 900 AD. Now this is an update modern drawing of the hieroglyphic symbol of Tehuti, but this hieroglyphic symbol of Tehuti can be found in present-day Egypt in the walls of what was previously known as the civilization of Kemet. This is just an up-to-date drawing. All right, big difference. Now, when it comes to what Tehuti actually is, this is not a literal picture of Tehuti. I want you to understand that. Okay, let me answer a few questions before I continue. Is Thoth greater than Negus? Nagas? If you're talking about the Nagas, not necessarily. Is emerald tablets greater than Negus? I'm not sure what Negus really. The book of Enoch, that's true wisdom. The book of Enoch. So there's no. The book of Enoch is more about symbolism. Okay, it's more about what wisdom can you derive out of the book of Enoch. There is no evidence of a man named Enoch existing on planet Earth. Not that you will find. You won't find it on Google Scholar. You won't find it in the National Library of Congress. You won't find artifacts. You won't find archaeology. You will not find history to say that Enoch actually existed. Now, does that take away from the value of the story of Enoch? Not necessarily. You can still derive important principles from the story of Enoch. This is vastly different than what Tehuti is. Tehuti, the name Tehuti is two words put together. T means dual. Tehu means to measure. So Tehuti means dual measurements. What are we measuring? What Tehuti is the measurements of ideas, the measurements of energy on both sides. It's very similar to the principle of yin and yang, okay? Masculine, feminine, dark, light, dual measurement, law of polarity, All right. So the idea of the Tao, as in Taoism, or the Tao, the circle with the white on one side, the black on the other side, that's talking about the law of polarity, the doctrine of opposites, the fact that when it comes to life itself, when it comes to magnetism, when it comes to energy, everything is based on a polarity. It's based on a magnetic pull to one side on the other, seeking to balance itself. Okay, you have electromagnetic positive forces in your body, you have electromagnetic negative forces in your body. You have a left hemisphere of your brain, you have a right hemisphere of your brain. You have the masculine principle, you have the feminine principle. You have light, you have dark. You have the northern pole, you have the southern pole. On a magnet, you have a positive charge, you have a negative charge. So when it comes to energy, energy works on polarity. Energy works on binary mathematics. When I say mathematics, I'm just talking about order, okay? The world around you is based on a binary ordered system. And out of that binary order system, it comes sacred geometry. We get the DNA structure. We get the bio-psychic human field called the aura, okay? So everything in this world is made out of energy. But when you seek to understand, well, what is an aspect of understanding this energy? One of the ways you can understand this energy on a fundamental level is that the energy is dual. The energy is binary. So when you want to measure this energy, you call it a dual measurement. So Tehuti, what that translates to dual measurement, Tehuti is the wisdom faculty, the wisdom principle, the wisdom power of measuring. What are we measuring? Anything. Anything in existence that can be measured, that can be known. Being able to access Tehuti will allow us, will help us to be able to understand this measurement. Maybe you want to measure, you know, upcoming event. What is your likelihood to, what kind of forces might you experience if you were to buy this car? Maybe you want to get a download on how to go about solving a problem. Tehuti is not just a deity. Tehuti is not just a god. I want you to understand something, okay? A lot of us, we're from the United States. A lot of us, we grew up in America. Okay, before I say this, okay, I'm gonna answer a couple questions because I really, it can be a lot, but I want to take it one step at a time. And we're going to, oh, peace, Freckles, Freckle King, how's it going, brother? Full uploads to YouTube, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will definitely put it on the agenda. Where we at? I would start with the Metu Netter series before reading the Emerald Tablets, yes. Have others thinking eternal peace. Nice. What did the Egyptians think about chakras? They acknowledged that the meridian chakra centers exist. Now, chakras aren't, from what I understand, they aren't necessarily on your body. Okay, chakras are more of a energy that is stimulated and cultivated, that exists in what we would call the astral realm, that exists in a different dimension. It's connected to your spiritual body. Since it's connected to your spiritual body, you cultivating this chakra will affect your physical body. And from the Kemetic perspective, not even from the Kemetic perspective, excuse me, simply put, there's 14 major chakras, okay? In the mythoscience, the mythology science, it's not just, mythology doesn't mean fake unless you're talking about, mythology does not mean fable unless you're talking about the Greeks. The Greek mythology was not based on the science of the human body. African mythos science is based on the body. It's using energetic principles that you experience in your spiritual awakening, and it anthropomorphizes it. It gives it human traits so that you can understand it. So now that we understand that African mythos science or African mythology is based on the energetic transformation of the human psyche, of the human spirit, going into the mythology of Osir's body was cut up into 14 pieces. Osir represents your divine consciousness. Your divine consciousness has been split into 14 pieces. Those 14 pieces are called your chakra centers. And you are to cultivate all 14 chakra centers so that you can put back together your divine consciousness and become one with the Most High. That is the mythoscience of not only Kemet's, but also in Hinduism. When you get into a true Hindu dictionary, there's 14 major chakra centers, not 7. There's thousands of chakra energy centers, but there's only 14 major chakra energy centers, okay? But we don't really focus on chakras too much, but they're still part of your spiritual evolution, no doubt. Okay. Yes, 7 on the front, 7 on the body. All right, so when it comes to Tehuti, from the African perspective of Kemet, all right, ancient Kemet was approximately a 4,000-year civilization. From the earliest times of them practicing the theology and the religion of Osir to the end of when Black African people were practicing the Osirian doctrine in Egypt, in Kemet, during the fall and the end of the Greco-Roman era. That means that even when the Greeks, even when the Romans conquered Kemet, Black African people still were in that land until they were finally kicked out in approximately 200 AD. So from approximately 4100 BC to 200 AD, there was still Black people, African people, the indigenous native people of Kemet, practicing the theology of Osir. As part of the doctrine of Osir, Tehuti was the power, it was the principle, and it was the science of divination. Okay? Now, this is where if you are a Christian, if you are Islam, if you practice Judaism, respectfully, when it comes to speaking on the culture and the history of African people, if you are not qualified, if you have not done your studies, and if you do not know what divination is, and if you have been taught that divination is evil because somebody told you that in a book, I am going to, as honestly and as humbly as I can, explain to you that Black people, African people, indigenous people never said that divination was evil. Therefore, we could never accept, those of us that have done our research, those of us that have decolonized our minds, and those of us that have applied and understand the science of divination, we could never conclude logically that God ever said divination was evil, nor could we ever accept that a man said that he was divinely inspired to say that God said was divination was evil. No one can refute me on that. If any, it's unfortunate that we live in a time where rules and concepts like that have been used to oppress humanity worldwide, but especially African people. But when it comes to understanding our heritage, when it comes to understanding our culture and our sciences, to be able to understand principles like Tehuti, we have to understand that divination is a science, okay? Divination, the word divine nation, is a mode of communicating to God, communicating to a superior intelligence via electromagnetism, okay? Electromagnetism, energy carries information, All right. You are hearing me speak. You are seeing me move. It's possible for you to hear me speak. It's possible for you to see me move because energy, sound, is going into my cell phone, going into a satellite, coming down from the satellite and going to your cell phone and going into your ears. Why? Because the sound in my voice, the information in my voice is literally traveling via energy. Okay? So, if we can understand that information can travel from human being to cell phone to satellite to cell phone to human being, do we think it's possible for a human being, for information to travel from somewhere outside of a cell phone, somewhere from outside of a satellite to a human being, and that human being can have what's called an idea, or that human being can have what's called creativity? Okay, so the source of thoughts, the source of invention, the source of creativity can come, that information can come from what we consider to be higher dimensions. It can come from higher realms. And if you don't want to accept dimensions, that's fine. If you don't want to accept realms, that's okay. But regardless, we understand that the information still has to travel to the mind. Where did the first person think of the alphabet from? There's no alphabets in nature. Where did the first person discover mathematics from? There's no obvious numerical calculations in nature. Where did the first person discover how to formulate grammar and language? There's no grammar and formal language in nature. They had to have come to these conclusions from within their mind, from their spirit. Their information had to have come to the brain, had to have come to the mind by some means of information, some mode of travel. So, after thousands of years, really tens of thousands of years of being able to perceive, being able to understand, and being able to qualify where this information is coming from, Black African people designed the science of divination. Afa of the Ewe Bodun uses divination. The Dogon uses divination. Ifa of Yoruba uses divination. The Dilogon of Santeria uses divination. And the ancient Cometians used the divination science of Tehuti. Unfortunately, colonizers and foreign cultures went during their conquest, their military conquest of taking over these African cultures. They demonized the science of communicating to a higher intelligence using electromagnetism, and they called it witchcraft. All right. So now that we've gotten through that whole deconstruction and reconstruction of Eurocentric thinking, we can begin to lay the baseline, looking at divination from a neutral standpoint, right? No fear attached, no emotionalism attached, and no theological biases. Okay, very, very important that we realize that one ethnic group told another ethnic group that your science doesn't matter, and that's not okay. What language is Tehuti derived from? So Tehuti would be derived from the native African language of Kemet. The hieroglyphic, I want to say the hieroglyphics themselves. If not, it would be the native tongue of the ancient Cometians. Okay, so between the hieroglyphics, you can say the Meroitic script, right? Hieroglyphics, Meroitic script. Those would be my two sources of where the name Tehuti comes from. It's very similar to the name Osiris, Greek name, Osir, African Kemetic name, Isis, Greek name, Osset, African Kemetic name, Horus, Greek name, Heru, African Kemetic name. So it's just like, you know, I mean, I live in the United States. If we got, you know, we don't, I'm not indigenous to the United States. I'm not indigenous to North America. Before Europeans and black people came over to, were kidnapped to North America, there was a nation called the Iroquois Nation. Okay? So now the Iroquois Nation became the United States of America. Kemet became at Egyptos, not Egypt, Egyptos. The original Greek name was Egyptos, and then it became Egypt. So if we can comprehend that colonialism can change the name of a location, it's the same thing as Kemet. Okay, so Tehuti, like I said, dual measurement, African name. Because Tehuti goes back. Tehuti goes way back. So getting into the, all right, so volume 1, right? Again, if you want a serious understanding of Tehuti and the Egyptian Kemetic system of spiritual cultivation, all right, it's a good place to start. Thoth is black now. Well, it's not that. Well, again, Thoth is the Greek name. Tehuti's the African name. The Greeks came into Kemet approximately 300 BC. The beginning of Kemet started around 4200 BC. So 4200 BC, 3200 BC, 2200 BC, 1200 BC, 200 BC. So almost 3,000 years later, after Kemet was a civilization, did the name Tehuti become the name Thoth. So Thoth is the Greek name. All right. Now, it's not that Thoth is a black person. Tehuti is a power, and it is a principle that is part of your psyche. It is part of your spirits. African people discovered that the human spirit, which is connected to the human subconscious, in the Western society, we call it the subconscious. In the Eastern hemisphere of the world, it's called your spirit. If you look and try to find the origins of the human subconscious, Western science will tell you that the origins of your subconscious starts ultimately with the Big Bang. Okay? Obviously, as critical thinkers, we cannot accept that the beginning of a intelligently designed universe where atoms have mathematical principles, that atoms are built on mathematical principles, sacred geometry, such as the Fibonacci sequence that exists in nature, is built on mathematical principles, electromagnetism built on mathematical principles. Since mathematics requires logic and logic requires intelligence, it takes intelligence to the breaking point to say that although mathematics exists in nature and human beings did not create nature, there's not an intelligence that designed nature. Okay, so from a indigenous African perspective of a nation like Kemet, the idea of a Big Bang would be considered ridiculous. Okay, it would be considered intellectual impoverishments. Okay, so what they did was, and I mean, it's not too different than what a lot of your monks and your yogis will do today, but they spend a lot of time in deep states of meditation. One of the most practical, actually, it is the only way that one can truly access Tehuti in a consistent basis. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple, right? But the mastery of a level of meditation is the most foolproof method of being able to cultivate your Tehuti faculty. Why? Tehuti, if you see right here, it's an ibis bird head on top of a man's body. Now, when the science or the principle and the power of Tehuti was brought to the world, it was discovered, it was cultivated by black people. Okay, so Tehuti is a divine intelligence. I want you to understand this. Tehuti is a divine intelligence that exist in all human beings. But not all human beings can demonstrate that they can access this divine intelligence. The way to access this divine intelligence is through deep states of meditation and mastery of meditation. All right. So unless you're meditating for 3, 6, 12 hours a day, like the priests were doing back in ancient Kemet, it's very difficult for one to just be able to communicate with the Tehuti faculty within their subconscious. Okay? So, since black people brought the principle and the intelligence and the understanding of Tehuti to the world, it makes logical sense to anthropomorphize Tehuti as a black person. Egypt, Kemet is in Africa, and African people, since, the hieroglyphic language, the culture of Kemet was able to be verified, the religion of Kemet was able to be understood by Egyptologists, comparing it with the religions of Congo people and the religions of the South Sudanese people. You can look to E. Wallace Budge, the British Egyptologist, in his book, the Resurrection of Osir. He goes over his explorations of being able to understand ancient Egyptian, ancient Kemetic religion by comparing it to Central African spiritual systems. Okay, so Tehuti. So in the name Tehuti, okay, there's a great deal of controversy regarding the correct pronunciation of the deity's name, due to the fact that in most cases the deity is represented non-phonetically. Phonetically, it has been rendered as Tehuti, Jehuti, and Tehuti, this T is a soft sort of D. First of all, we find that the Coptic language, ancient Sadic, which is the survival of ancient Egyptian language, does not translate the word with either the letters ch or j or ch, but with the t as in tau. Drop the final I, a common linguistic experience. They named it tout or taught, which is what would be expected from Tehuti. So also I want you all to keep in mind that when the Coptic language, which came out of the ancient Egyptian language, when the Tehuti became the taught, when they dropped the I, and the taught became taught, the people of the Levant called the Elamites, okay? According to De La Couperet is the lead philologist of China who studies ancient Chinese languages and the origins of Chinese languages, all right? The concept of yin and yang, the Tao Te Ching and the I Ching came to China somewhere around 2500 to 2800 BC, all right? From ancient Kemet, influencing the geography of what's called the Levant, present-day Saudi Arabia, a people of the Akkadians and a people of the Elamites, who eventually brought the teachings of yin and yang to China, all right? This is approximately 2500 BC. De La Couperet. If you want the breakdown of this, go to the book Ancient Future by Wayne B. Chandler, where he highlights the case by case record of the yin and yang concept being introduced into China. So one of the yin and yang concepts is called the Tao. So Tehuti in the Coptic language became Taut, and when Taut or thought got into the Levant, and the Levant people brought it to China, Tao became Tao, and now we have Taoism. All right. So I want you to understand just how far back this tradition goes, this tradition of wisdom. It goes as far back as ancient Kemet influencing and becoming the fundamental teachings of Taoism in present day China. All right. The collection of divine laws and spiritual counsels could also, if the collection of divine laws and spiritual counsels could also be subjected to some sort of objective measurement, then the providing of guidelines for living could also be elevated to a science of living. So I want you to understand that in understanding Tehuti, you are beginning to comprehend a science to life. All right. In Western culture, we've been conditioned to believe that there's no such thing as a quality of knowing how to live. We've been conditioned to believe that there's no science to morality. There's no science to ethics. Civilizations such as Kemet's, cultures such as the Yoruba, the Akan, the Ashanti would fundamentally disagree with you that there's not a science to living. There's a science to choosing your wife. There's a science to choosing your husband. There's a science to being a mother, and there's a science to being a father, so that there's a science to having a family. Okay? Now, people might say in Western society, do as thou wilt, right? Mind your business. There is no objective way for people to live in harmony or live morally objective. From the traditional African perspective, we would have to humbly disagree that Western civilization doesn't know what it's talking about, because Western civilization has demonized the science of divination. Okay? A collection of data, however factual, is of little use until its elements are arranged according to their relationship with each other and the whole of which they are parts. For example, until 1743 to 1794, Lavoisier, until Lavoisier in 1743 to 1794, there was no science of chemistry, even though there was a vast collections of chemicals in use. Sulfuric acid, nitric acid, silver nitrate, chlorine, etc., and the recipes for making them. It was only when Lavoisier discovered that all atoms have a distinct weight and configuration, number of protons, electrons, etc., and were thus subject to exact measurement, that the science of chemistry was born. All right, so at first he highlights to you that before we had chemistry, we had chemicals, but we had not discovered the atom. So since we didn't discover the atom, we couldn't have the periodic table. Are you tracking? Okay, good. It was only when Lavoisier discovered that all atoms had a distinct weight and configuration, number of protons, electrons, etc., and were thus subject to exact measurement, that the science of chemistry was born. Hence, the creation of a periodic table. Okay? If the collection of divine laws and spiritual counsels could also be subjected to some sort of objective measurement, then the providing of guidelines for living could also be elevated to a science of living. Okay, so if the collection of divine laws, different religions, different spiritual systems, different ways of life have divine laws. Different religions, different cultures, different spiritual systems have spiritual counsels. So what happens if we can objectively, if we can put these counsels and these laws into a system of objectification? Then we would have a guideline for living, which could be elevated to a science of living. All right. I hope you all are tracking as to what is possible. All right. Unfortunately, I have to say what is possible, even though this is history. It already happened. It still happens to this day. Ifa is built on binary mathematical principles. Afa is built on binary mathematical principles. If you want the case study that compares the Afa divination system to binary mathematics, DM me. Also, if you read the book Ancient Future by Wayne B. Chandler, he highlights how the I Ching system is based on binary mathematical principles. As a matter of fact, the evidence for proving differential and integral calculus was done by the German mathematician and philosopher Leibniz. I forgot what year he did this, but he was able to prove differential and integral calculus by using the I Ching divination system. And this is brought forth in Ancient Future by Wayne B. Chandler. Okay. And such a means of measurement has already been in place in African spirituality for over 10,000 years. In other words, unlike the biblical tradition, the Kemetic spiritual tradition is not composed of a collection of spiritual guidelines. Like chemistry and physics, its principles are each assigned to a specific category, which elevates it to a strict science of living. The ability to qualify life's experiences and its spiritual guidelines through quantification and measurement is the property of the wisdom faculty Tehuti. Now, I really hope I didn't lose anyone. Okay? I really hope I didn't lose anyone, because I want you to understand something. Not only is this ultimately meant for all of humanity, but typically Black African people tend to gravitate to this information first. I want you to understand something. A lot of people are becoming aware that the things that they were taught in school nowhere near compare to the type of information and valuable knowledge that we need to have to live in this world. Okay? Such as spiritual principles, metaphysics, certain universal laws, universal principles, taxes. We know that our education system is in a lot of aspects is very limiting. We know that our education system doesn't teach us anything about African history, anything about African culture, anything about African spirituality, even in the realm of theology. Okay? So when it comes to Tehuti, okay, if you are on your spiritual awakening, if you're becoming self-aware, if in your journey of becoming more conscious, if you consider yourself woke, all right, if you've ever come across the Emerald Tablets, all right, I don't care if it's a celebrity, I don't care if they're famous, I don't care if they're an influencer, I do not care who they are. If they tell you that the Emerald Tablets of Thoth was written by Thoth, and Thoth is an Atlantean who traveled the world, is an alien being, and brought the science of wisdom and technology to human beings, I want you to understand something from the bottom of my heart and from what research of actual Kemetic philosophy and science proves to be true. I want you to understand what is true based on our ancestors' teachings. That is pseudo, that is imagination, and that will do nothing to change your life. That the Emerald Tablets is great for entertainment. It's great for stimulating your mind. It is not great for empowering you or bringing wisdom to your life. Okay? Understanding that Tehuti is a science of divination where you are able to access the power and the principle of wisdom that is part of your spirit. And if spirit sounds like too much, it's part of your subconscious. Okay? What Western society calls your subconscious, Eastern society or traditional African society calls your spiritual body. Psychology, ology means the study of. Psyche means soul. So whoever put together the word psychology meant the study of the soul. The etymology of psychology is the study of the spirit in the soul. Because we live in Western society, and Western society is mostly left brain, which is materialistic, right brain, which is metaphysical, more spiritual leaning, we have been limited in our thinking of the human mind to the human brain. Okay? The mind, the spirit is beyond the human brain. Okay? The subconscious is beyond the human brain. African people spent anywhere between 75,000 years, Adam's calendar, don't believe me, look up Adam's calendar, up to 10,000 years of the earliest evidence, really you can say 20,000 years, the earliest evidence of the science of divination, African people and indigenous people were learning the depths of the subconscious. Okay? Your subconscious is a very powerful program, a very powerful intelligence that is in charge of most of your life. So in understanding the different compartments of your subconscious, ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, it qualified and it named one of those compartments Tehuti. And from the ancient Kemetic perspective, man, woman are made in the likeness of God. You cannot separate God from man and woman. God is not separate from his creation. Man and woman are not the size of God, but man and woman share a likeness with God. One of the 11 principles in which man and woman is like God is that man and woman is able to access what we call wisdom. All right? So God has wisdom, man and woman has wisdom. The only time man and woman has and can invoke wisdom is when they tap into their subconscious faculty called Tehuti. The subconscious faculty, the spiritual power, the spiritual principle, or the deity, all right, the angel, all right, the aspect of God that gives you wisdom is called Tehuti. So Tehuti is not some extraterrestrial birdman, alien being, imagination, Santa Claus, fairy tale. Tehuti is the power and the wisdom that you receive when you spend long amounts of hard work and hard dedication devoting yourself to going into your subconscious. Okay? Big difference. Big difference. In Yoruba, Tehuti is called Ifa. In Ewe Vodun, Tehuti is called Afa. In the Indus Kush civilization, Tehuti was called Shinamasta. In Native American spirituality, in Native American religion, Tehuti was called Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. So in ancient times, indigenous African and, well, I'm not going to say Europeans because I don't know any European religions that have it, but indigenous and African people, they spent a lot of time going into the subconscious. They weren't watching Netflix all day. They weren't eating McDonald's. They weren't at the club. They weren't doing all of these things that just kind of like waste your energy. And instead, they were spending a lot of time in altered states of consciousness. Some cultures took mushrooms. Some cultures smoked weed. Some cultures used altered states of psychedelics, right? Other types of psychedelics. And but across a lot of cultures, they definitely practice meditation. All right. So what do you think will happen to you if you spend the next 3 hours a day for the next 30 days for the next year in meditation? Let's do it if then statements. If I meditate for 3 hours a day, if I meditate properly, keyword, where's my, see this? Okay. The key word is properly. If I meditate properly for 3 hours a day for the next 3 months, then perhaps I might become more intelligent. Maybe. Is it possible? I don't see why not. Do you need a peer-to-peer review, scientific, Harvard, Yale, Stanford University to prove to you that perhaps your intelligence or your conscious awareness might increase if you do 3 hours of meditation a day for the next 90 days, I mean, a study would be nice. Why not? But what I'm saying is we can all agree that there would probably be an effect. So what I'm saying is, if you were to put yourself in the shoes of a civilization where money was not their god, like the US dollar, right? Osir was the most popular theology of that time. Cultivating your divinity, cultivating your spirit, in Kemet, your spirit, your life force, your Holy Spirit, it was called Ra, okay? So cultivating your Ra was the main goal of most people who cared about their spiritual cultivation, okay? So think about people spending a lot of time cultivating their meditative practice so that they can go deep into their subconscious. This is a more practical, this is a more logical, and this is a more testable way of understanding symbolism. Okay? Interesting thing about Tehuti. You see this bird? This is called an ibis or an ibis bird. Okay? If you observe an ibis bird, if you observe an ibis bird, I lived in Jersey last year. An ibis bird will sit on one leg and stare at the water for a long period of time, waiting for its prey. All right, I want you to get this in case I don't want, if you want to stay in the realm of Tehuti being and Thoth being the alien extraterrestrial, Godspeed. Okay, but I'm wanting to explain to you the symbolism. I want to explain to you what a metaphor is. Okay, we all know about metaphors, except when it comes to African mythology and African mythoscience, we take the metaphors literally. If you want to understand traditional African religions of places like Egypt, better known as Kemet, you cannot take it literally. You have to understand the symbolism behind it. The ways of understanding the symbolism behind African mythoscience, what helps you understand the symbolism is by cleansing and purifying the body to help you perceive consciously. Okay? And the symbolism of the ibis bird is that an ibis bird will sit for hours staring at the water, waiting for its prey. Water is often a symbol used for spirits in ancient civilizations across the world. Ocean was often associated and symbolic for spirits across the world. Therefore, the ocean or water was symbolism for your subconscious across the world. So the ibis bird staring at the water was symbolic for you sitting still in meditation, cultivating and being able to access your wisdom. All right? I hope this makes sense. I hope you all are tracking me. I don't want to lose you. I'm gonna answer a few questions before I get back into the explanations. Peace, Lily. Yes, he's more of a symbolic representation than an actual being. Now, Tehuti is a intelligence, but you have multiple intelligences. You have multiple powers within your subconscious. Tehuti is the power of wisdom within your subconscious. But Tehuti is a part of the divine section of your subconscious, aka your spirits. Okay? You have your divine spirits, you have your Ab spirit, and then you have your Sahu spirit. You have your divine part of your subconscious, you have the humane part of your subconscious, and then you have the animating part of your subconscious. There's 3 categories. Let me show you where Tehuti lies in your subconscious from from what's called the tree of life. All right. I don't know why. All right. So this is your subconscious as mapped out by the African people of ancient Kemet. Yes, the Jewish Kabbalah also has a tree of life. But before there was a Jewish or Hebrew people, before there was a Jewish Kabbalah, the Pa'alt Netaru, the tree of life of Anu, already existed in Kemet 2500 BC. Okay? Osir as a theology already existed in Kemet 4000 BC. All right? As you see right there, Tehuti is at the second sphere of your subconscious. Osir is the first, Amen is 0, Seker is 3, Ma'at, Herukuti, Heru, Het Heru, Sebek, Oset, Geb. These are all aspects of the one God. Okay? Now, I want you to understand the difference. From a Western perspective, the Big Bang ultimately led to protoplasm, which ultimately led to your subconscious, which ultimately led to you. From the African perspective of Kemet in West Africa, like Ifa of the Yoruba or Afa of the Vodun, you are not here by some chance. You're not here by randomness. It wasn't a accidental Big Bang. The Supreme Intelligence created Osir, emanated Osir, and then emanated Tehuti and Seker, and then emanated Ma'at and Herukahuti, who gave birth to Het Heru, Sebek, Oset, and Geb. Geb is the physical planet. And the evolution of protoplasm, bacteria, reptilians, mammals, hominids, Homo sapiens sapiens led to mankind or human beings, okay? And human beings, which is different than mammals, not mammals, different than animals, human beings were made in the likeness of God. Gorillas, bamboos, tigers, crocodiles, snakes, bees, elephants, ants, hawks, sharks, whales are all animals. They are all spirits. Animal comes from the word animus or the word anime. The word animus is the origin or the etymology of the word animus is spirits. Spirit means to move, to animate. This is why those of you all that watch anime, you're watching moving images, okay? Animation. So animals are moving energies. They're moving forces, all right? You and I, in essence, we are not animals. We have flesh like animals. We have a animating spirit, which is part of Geb. But in essence, you are an aspect of God having a human experience. What separates you and I from an animal is Heru. Heru is your will. Okay? You have the will. You have a will. The importance of understanding that you are not an animal and that you have a will is that you can will yourself to not follow your instincts. So if you are in a relationship, if you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, and your animal, your emotions, because your emotions are, the lower nature emotions are part of the animal spirit within you. The higher nature emotions of peace and love come from your divine faculty, your divine self. Okay? When you are in a marriage, all right, just because the animal within you says that I lustfully want to indulge in an act with somebody else, your will should follow your will should follow your intuition, okay, through ma'at, which is love, Tehuti, which is wisdom. It should give you the intuition or the conclusion that I shall not or I will not cheat on my spouse because I am selfless and I have love for my spouse. Or you will not use your will and you will follow Geb and you will act like an animal, or you will act like an animating force, the animating force called lust, and you will follow lust and you will cheat on your spouse because you are acting like an animal. Okay? So when people tell you that morality is not objective, truth is subjective. From the traditional perspective and culture of Kemet, the African principles of a civilization that lasted 4,000 years, we say cap, big cap. Okay? Where we at? All right. Tehuti is associated with your Ajna chakra. Okay? A-J-N-A, Ajna chakra is the chakra associated with Tehuti. All right? Your frontal lobe. All right? So when you use your eyes and you go into deep states of meditation and you lock your eyes at the top of your head, you stimulate blood pressure to your eyes, which puts pressure on your frontal lobe. When you go into deep states of meditation through proper exercise and you lock your eyes up and stimulating your frontal lobe, you are able to cultivate, this is one way of cultivating your Ajna chakra center, what Westerners call the third eye. Okay? Tehuti is not, the third eye is not your pineal gland. The third eye is not your pineal gland. The third eye is not your pineal gland. All right? The only reason as Western society that we say the third eye is your pineal gland is because Western people were learning Hinduism, and in their misinterpretation of Hindu texts, they associated the Ajna chakra of the frontal lobe with the melanin secretion of the pineal gland. There is no ancient Hindu actual dictionary or text that will tell you the third eye is the pineal gland. It does not exist. Okay? I know everyone says the third eye, pineal gland. I know. But if you want to take your ability to access higher states of consciousness seriously, you have to learn about the frontal lobe. Okay? Hope we can all, I hope we can get past that. Does it start from top to, it starts from bottom to top as far as our evolution. But when you focus on cultivating your spirit, we're evolving from bottom to top. But when you focus on cultivating your spirit, you go from top to bottom. Okay? Let me finish up about Tehuti. In the science of Tehuti, a collection of divine laws and spiritual counsels can be sorted together in an objective way so that it can be elevated to a science of living. Tapping into And the divination and the oracle of Tehuti brings a science, a state of objectivity to your lifestyle. Okay? It's not just about your beliefs, it's not just about your wants, it's not just about your opinions. There's a science to cultivating your peace and cultivating joy so that you can have love in your life and that you can be aligned with your destiny. Tehuti is the guide, the wisdom that allows you to understand the alignments for your destiny, for living a harmonious life. Okay? And such a measurement has already been in place in African spirituality for over 10,000 years. In other words, unlike the biblical tradition, the Kemetic spiritual tradition is not composed of a collection of spiritual guidelines. Like chemistry and physics, its principles are each assigned to a specific category, which elevates it to a strict science of living. The ability to qualify life's experiences and its spiritual guidelines through quantification and measurements is the property of the wisdom faculty Tehuti. One of the most important rituals and spiritual practices of the Kemetic system was called the Altchao Metu, the weighing of words. The name Tehuti compounded of Tehu, which means to measure, and Ti, which means dual. This name reveals a very advanced state of scientific sophistication of the Kemetic culture, which cannot be doubted from the fact that they had invented the system of quadratic equations, which is the foundation of the mathematical underpinning of science. The equation used in chemistry, physics, economics. Okay? Let me say that again. The name Tehuti is compounded of Tehu, which means to measure, and Ti, which means dual. Okay. Does anybody understand what is another symbol that we use if you went to if you graduated, you got a high school degree? What is a symbol for dual measurement? It's 26, 27 people here. I hope at least one person knows what the symbol is for dual measurements if you have a high school diploma. I mean, I'm not going to act like I knew this right away. The download came to me later. I know everybody in this room has used it. Everybody in this live has used not a scale, close, very close actually. What is a symbol that we use to do a dual measurement? Dual measurements. Come on now, folks. Type it into Google if you have to. Dual measurement. Axis, nope. Close. Rulers, close. Close. You guys you're getting there. You're getting there. Okay, think math. Math. Okay? What symbol in math do you use to represent two measurements, dual measurements? Equal sign. Boom. Thank you, baby D. Equal sign. Do we all understand, or can we start to understand how a equal sign represents dual measurements? Okay, please explain. Okay, so an equal sign has one side of the equation. This one side of the equation has a measurement to it. Okay, either that measurement is 1 inch, or that measurement is 2 inches, or that measurement is 3 inches. And on the other side of the equal sign, that measurement could be 5 inches, it could be 6 inches, it could be 7 inches. 2x equals 10. 2 divided by 2. Bring the 2 over to the 10. Now the 10 becomes a 5. X equals 5. X is a measurement. 5 is a measurement. The equal sign provides dual measurements. Okay? So what we have as early as 10,000 years ago is the concept of an equal sign, the basis for calculation. Okay? One side of the equation is equal to the other. Dual measurement, Tehuti. All right? So, I want you to understand that in traditional African religions, such as Kemet, popularly known as Egypt, understanding God, being able to communicate with God, was based on binary mathematical principles. It was not based on belief, and it was not based on faith. Okay? If you want to get into a more specific breakdown, Ancient Future by Wayne B. Chandler highlights the binary principles of mathematics and its relationship to divination. All right? Again, I want us to understand the difference between belief and faith, can't measure anything. Binary mathematics, and binary mathematics allows us to be unable to understand God. Way more reliable. Way more reliable. As a matter of fact, speaking of reliable, where are we at? Okay, that's not it. There we go. You all may not be able to read this, okay? But the I Ching is a divination system of China. It was brought to China by the Elamites, approximately 2500 BC. I used the okay? I Ching, divination, right? If one learns, well, if this is meant for you, then it's meant for you, okay? But if one learns and applies themselves and uses it accurately, the inquisitive user will understand that the I Ching divination system is true. It's accurate. There's a communication with a type of intelligence that when you learn how to communicate with this intelligence properly, can give you an accurate possibility and probability of what to expect in a given situation. Okay? And again, the intelligence that you are communicating with is operating to you via your subconscious. Your subconscious is operating right now. Your subconscious is repairing the cells of a cut on your arm. Your subconscious is digesting your food. Your subconscious is translating the words that I'm saying into understanding so that you can comprehend what I'm saying. You are not consciously translating the words that I'm saying. That's an automatic process. Okay? Your subconscious is beating your heart. Your subconscious is transmuting oxygen through a biochemical process that you might have healthy red blood cells. Okay? You don't have to think about any of this. It is part of the automatic process of your awareness that we call the subconscious. It is a type of intelligence. Western society, okay, Western society has conditioned us to believe that our subconscious is just a automatic biofeedback process. Okay? If you were to go to a psychologist, if you were to go to a neurologist, if you were to go to any of these PhD degree holders, and if you were to say that my subconscious is a separate intelligence than my waking conscious, they would tell you no. They would tell you that your subconscious is simply an automatic feedback system, and it is not a separate intelligence within itself. I'm here to explain to you that a civilization that lasted 4,000 years. You know, I'm from Chicago. As a descendant, ADOS, African American, black man, I got smoke with the United States. I got smoke with what has been done to my people. But I'm also grateful for the life that I've lived. I'm not going to lie. I have a lot to be grateful for. I truly do. I've lived a great life. Right? But when it comes to us being very honest about this country, the United States, it might exist for another 300 years. I'm being very generous. You know what? Let me be even more generous. The United States might last another 400 years. Okay? Don't get mad, whatever. People got their beat, whatever. But let's have a very honest discussion here. Let's have an honest discussion here. The United States might last another 400 years. And I'm being very generous. Okay? The United States started in 1776. Okay? We're at 2023. Let's say the United States lasts until 2423. Just throw up whatever, 700 years. Okay? 2423, the United States no longer exists. It crashes, it fails, we get invaded, whatever. Okay? That would be a total of 800, 700 years and some change. Are you tracking me? Ancient Kemet's, the Osirian doctrine, which govern not only their religion, but their governments, their social life, their way of life, right? Their system of order lasted for 4,000 years, even during their invasions. Okay? 4,000 years. If the United States were to last as long as Kemet's, it would take us to the year 2476, give or take, 1776. I don't know, my math, 4,000 years. I could be off. 2476. The United States would have, no, not 2476. That would be 27, 37, 27, 37, 47, 5776. Now I got to do my math. 27 is 1,000. 37 is 2. 47 is 3. 5776 is 4,000 years. The United States would have to last till 5776 for it to be 4,000 years old. Because my brain just can't even. I want you to comprehend how long that is. Okay? So if you want to gauge whether something has power, whether something works or not, you can gauge how certain civilizations has governed itself. Whether you really love the United States, whether you really hate the United States, the evidence is it wasn't built to last. Ford F-150. Okay? Rome lasted anywhere from 800 years to 1,200 years. Okay? So, we're not being racist. We're not being discriminatory. And if you're still offended, then you just don't like the truth. Okay? And you're being animalistic. But African civilizations have statistically lasted longer than European civilizations. Why? Because African civilizations fundamentally were built on binary mathematical principles that they used in harmony with their social order. It will never guarantee that a civilization will last forever. I will transcend and move on to the next life. You will die, you will transcend and move on to the next life. Birds die, animals die, plants die, civilizations and cultures die. And they're also reborn. There's a cyclical nature. No nation lasts forever. So since we understand that no nation lasts forever, what we can build a nation on is principles that will keep us unified for as long as possible. Okay? So those of you that are seeking to bring more harmony to your life, to bring more order to your life, Tehuti and the science of divination has been proven to bring more order, to bring more unity to human life over long periods of time. Okay? All right. In 1675, German mathematician and philosopher Gottfried von Leibniz was given credit for the discovery of differential and integral calculus. According to research reported by Dr. Jose Arguelles in Earth Ascending, the law governing whole systems, Leibniz had begun work on a theory involving the concept of binary mathematics, but encountered great difficulty finding evidence to prove his theory. Through a Jesuit priest who had traveled extensively throughout the Far East, Leibniz was introduced to the I Ching. Okay. Okay. After close study of this oracle, he was able to confirm his system of binary mathematics, which has become the basis of present-day computer science. Does anybody have questions? I really hope that I am, I'm trying to break this down as simplistic but holistic as possible. Okay? I'm not expecting you to understand this in one live. It's taken me, I've been at this for about 2 years now. Not even 2 years. It'll be 2 years this month. Okay? I'm only able to even talk about it with the level of confidence and comprehension recently, given the, the time it's taken to absorb and understand and deprogram from the Western way of thinking and reprogram back to more of the Afrocentric way of understanding spirit, God, consciousness in the world around us. Okay? Where are we at? No. Why does it look so? I needed to. I want to make the point about the 256 bits, but it's making me. It is what it is. It literally is what it is. Actually, where are we at? All right. We got any questions? Hair growing fast. You know, it's a combination of factors. We got the man, I got my rosemary water. What the hell? What the hell? Oh, okay. Yeah, been using the rosemary water. I don't know why I just sprayed that, but it's okay. And we have the rosemary oil brewing in a completely shaded area for about 4 weeks. I'm going to do that for the beard. Okay. There are many Hermetic teachings. Okay. Theorem, omenology. The study of many different religions and beliefs. Gotcha. Okay. Hermes. All right. I say this out of love, and I say this humbly. Okay? Hermes is not Thoth. Hermes is not Tehuti. Okay? I say this because I want you to elevate yourself. I want you to continue seeking and understanding and applying. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me show you exactly who Hermes is, so that you can know. I want you to know. Let me get Hermes out. Okay. So if you look into Hermes, Hermes is the messenger of the gods. Okay? All right? Hermes is the messenger of the gods. All right? The messenger of the gods is Sebek. Okay? Sebek is also called Ampu, Anubis, Hermes. Sebek is also called Mercury, the planet Mercury, or associated with the planet Mercury. Sebek deals with communication. Sebek's day is Wednesday. Sebek is your verbal thinking process. If you say in your mind, I love you, that's Sebek. Sebek governs the voice in your mind. Now, there's a lower nature of Sebek, there's a higher nature of Sebek. When you are thinking, you are using Sebek, because Sebek is the thoughts, is the intellect. Okay? Your thoughts, your intellect, when you think. Sebek, thinking, the principle and the power of thinking is called the messenger of the gods. Why? Because depending on your thoughts can depend on your destiny. Your thoughts can affect and do affect your actions. Your actions affect your habits. Your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. So depending on which thoughts you follow, which thoughts you communicate with, it will be a form of communication on if you're communicating with the animal within you, or are you communicating with the gods? Okay? Tehuti, which is not Hermes, does not speak. Because Tehuti is wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge, understanding without thinking, no thoughts. Because to be able to access Tehuti, to be able to cultivate wisdom, one of the ways that you cultivate wisdom is by slowing down the breathing, exercising deep diaphragmatic breathing. And when you slow down the breathing, and when you apply the meditation techniques properly, thinking, Sebek, Hermes, becomes quiet. Because God's will, aka wisdom, enjoys silence. So you are able to cultivate your intuition, and you are able to know things, conclusions, prophecies, visions. You are able to know without thinking, intuition, when you slow down Hermes, Sebek, the thinking, and tap into Tehuti. Okay, I just wanted to give you that because a lot of people confuse Sebek, Hermes, and Tehuti. Okay? The Kabbalah, Jewish Kabbalah comes out of the African Pa'at Netarut. Well, some of the Jews were African. They were African. They were Hittite. They were Indo-European. They were an admixture of different people. But the Kabbalah comes a few thousand years after the Pa'at Netarut tree of life, and the Kabbalah is actually Canaanite in origin, right? That's why in the Kabbalah you have the principles of Elohim, of Mikael, Hanael, Yisrael, Raphael, because El was a god of Canaan. If you go on a Google Scholar, Harvard, Yale, doesn't matter. And if you look up the god El, you will see that El was a Canaanite deity. And if you go into Jewish Kabbalah, you will see that El was the name of the angels, archangels, or Mikaels, or principles in the Kabbalah. Okay? And before there was Hebrew, before there was Jewish mysticism, before there was Canaan, the pyramids were already built. So the Jewish Kabbalah has a level of validity to it, has a level of power to it. But if we're going to compare the Hebrew culture and ancient Kemet empirically used the tree of life longer and with more use case for more people. Okay? When the Canaanite Kabbalah became the Jewish Kabbalah, some of the teachings became watered down. So I think, and I understand that there's a level of wisdom and power to that. But it's not a level of wisdom and power and applicability that humanity can use. Okay? Goosh, it was absolutely matriarchal before it was patriarchal. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Big facts. Canaan was definitely a matriarchal civilization. Ancient Kemet was a matriarchal civilization. Amen is both feminine and masculine. Okay? When the Christians, at the end of their prayer, when they say amen, what they're saying is amen, as in eternal peace. Okay? Because from the philosophy and the psychological science, spirituality of the Kemetic perspective, Amen represents the aspect of your being, the aspect of yourself, in which you share the likeness of God of eternal peace. Okay? From the Kemetic perspective, when the Supreme Being created reality, before there was creation, there was the primordial realm. And in the primordial realm, there was no separation. There was no difference in energy matter. It was everything and no thing at the same time. Because it was everything and no thing at the same time, energy was not created nor destroyed. Energy simply was not differentiated. So you can say that the creator, God, the supreme being, Nebuchadnezzar, whatever you want to call it, it existed in an infinite, eternal existence without any separation. Because there's no separation, there could only be a state of peace, a state of tranquility, complete bliss. Okay? So when people say amen, what they're saying is, from a Kemetic perspective, eternal peace. Okay? And in communication, as far as acknowledging someone else, we would say hetepu or hetep. Or what we say in the Western terminology, we say hotep. But hotep, which actually translates to hetep, means I acknowledge the eternal, peaceful God within you. Hetepu. Okay? Facts. Matriarchal is always more spirit-minded than patriarchal. Exactly, Goosh. Exactly. All right. Let's finish this up, yo. Tehuti. The name Tehuti is compounded of Tehu, which means to measure, and T, which means dual. This name reveals a very advanced state of scientific sophistication of the Kemetic culture, which cannot be doubted from the fact that they had invented the system of quadratic equations, which is the foundation of the mathematical underpinning of science. The equations used in chemistry, physics, economics, etc. That cosmology, Kabbalah, was related to a system of equations can be deduced from the Arabic name for algebra, al-Jabar, mu-Kabbalah. The dual factors by which all ideas, concepts are weighed are based on their relative place in time, temporal, cyclical, and space, hierarchic. We come across, for example, in the Chinese oracle of wisdom, the I Ching, that such and such a thing is to be done or not because of its relationship to the time in the cycle, year, month, zenith, etc. Incidentally, there might have been some cultural exportation of the Kemetic wisdom tradition to China. Let's start with noting the similarity between the roots of the deity's name, Tehu, and the Coptic derivation of the name Tehuti, Taut, which are very similar to the Chinese term for their wisdom tradition, the Tao. The foundation of the Chinese oracle, the I Ching, is composed of the 8 Pa Kao. Similarity to Tehuti's wisdom system is also based on an Agdad representing the primal powers of the 8 cardinal points. The symbol for the nome or providence of Tehuti in Kemet was represented by 4 broken lines superimposed. I Ching practitioners will immediately recognize the correspondence of the yin lines, and Tao Te Ching diviners will recognize it in the 41st figure, which is the main figure of that oracle system. Oh man, getting into the Atachal Metut, we're going to have to do that at a later day. Because the Atachal Metu, generally translated as the weighing of words, is best translated as the evaluation of concepts, ideas, beliefs, behavioral shaping factors, and spiritual practices. And it's the way of measuring your spiritual growth. All right, the way of categorizing, qualifying, how are you growing as a spiritual being, aka how is your behavior increasing over time from a scientific perspective. It's not enough just to say, I believe that I'm more peaceful, or I think that I'm more loving, or I think that I no longer fear this, or I no longer hate that, or I no longer lust after this. There's a system, study, understand, and application of a system to measure these things over time. Okay? I should just trust that God's leading me on the right path. That's a great place to start. For as long as you're taking care of yourself and you're being honest with yourself and you're truly seeking to seek knowledge and cultivate your character, I think it's a great place to start. I think that's where I'm going to end for Tehuti. We don't have to get into the Metu. Each principle, aka deity, aspect of God, angel, okay? The British Egyptologist E. Wallace Budge will highlight to you in his books that what you call the angels of the Bible could be called the angels of Kemet. Because in studying and understanding the Kemetic philosophy and science, religion in total, that these deities were understood in the same way that angels are understood of the Bible. But the only difference is there was a cultivation factor with these angels, meaning you can cultivate the power and the principle of Tehuti. You can cultivate the power and the principle of Offsets. All right? It's not enough for you just to say, I'm a human being, I fall short, I make excuses. From the Kemetic perspective, your divine faculties and your higher nature can be brought forth. Qigong, meditation, yoga are some of the fundamental practices. I would say at least all three. At least all three on a weekly basis. But for most of us, 9 to 5, parents, married, jobs, other things going on, at least one of these practices, and out of all three, I would say at least meditation. Okay? Deep diaphragmatic breathing is necessary for increasing the oxygen levels in the body so that the body is containing higher states of oxygen over time. The life force energy that we call Ra is able to wield more power, more energy via the aura in the meridian system as we increase our oxygen levels over time. Meditation, qigong, yoga means nothing. Research, reading, increasing your knowledge means nothing if you continue to feed your body poison. Yes, you can still have psychic abilities. Yes, you can have levels of manifestation. Yes, you can see some improvement in your psychic abilities, in your manifestations, in your blessings from God. But you will never be able to tap into your true potential until you stop feeding your vessel or your avatar poisons. If you are not familiar with the poisons of your environment, too much cell phone use, emotional suppression, I don't want to just like throw the word poison on there, but anger poisons the body. Stress poisons the body. Frustration, depression, anxiety, lust, greed, gluttony, they poison the body. Peace and joy are the only two thoughts and emotions that have healing effects on your anatomy. Is thought Noah? No. Okay. Proper dietary laws. Okay. Avoiding all meat, necessary. Eating fruits and veggies, necessary. Getting your proper minerals in, getting proper sleep. I should be asleep right now. I'm slipping on my Ra cultivation because I'm supposed to be asleep by 10. Okay? Shame on me. Right? But I'm loving what I'm doing. So it's a little, it's all good. Right? But at a level of consistency and at a level of seriousness, I'm off my phone, and you should be off your phone 1 hour before bed. Not touching the phone 1 hour after waking up. If you can't do an hour, start with 30 minutes. Have a night routine, have a rising routine. The fundamentals of cultivating your spirit, your chi, your kundalini, your life force, your Ra, starts with your health. Okay? Whether you want to say more antioxidants from the fruits, more antioxidants from the veggies or from the herbs, and more antioxidants from water flowing through the body, or more oxygen from deep diaphragmatic breathing, more oxygen feeds the spirit. It feeds the life force energy. As the life force energy is more fed, it can have a stronger healing effect on the body. As the body increases its optimal state of health, the liver, the kidneys, the adrenals, colon, heart, lungs, brain, frontal lobe, this allows us to be able to access these higher states of consciousness. Okay? Oh, sexual moderation. That's fundamental. That is fundamental. Sexual moderation. The fastest way to waste and deplete. Okay, because we're, I mean, okay. This is you. This is you as consciousness. Okay? This is you. You're looking around. This is you as consciousness. You can consciously observe things passively. You can actively will things. Conscious observation, active willing. Okay? This is spirit. Okay? This is your spirit. You either can have low amounts of spiritual energy. We call this low amounts of vitality, low amounts of libido, or high amounts of vitality, high amounts of libido. Yes, sexual energy is an aspect of your life force energy. Sexual energy and creative energy are the same energy. So wasting your sexual energy is wasting your creative energy. Moderation, conservation, balance, and protection of the sexual energy allows us to transmute it into creative energy. Okay? Today's 12:09. November 10th. Shout out to 150 days of semen retention. Fellas, there's no excuse for you not to be on seed retention. Ladies, celibacy. Fellas, celibacy and semen retention. Ladies, celibacy and no self-pleasure. Same for men. Retention means no self-pleasure. True celibacy means no self-pleasure. And well, let me say this. If you are going to self-pleasure, do it only through Tantra and studying and understanding Tantra, and do it in a higher nature way. Learn how to do it not in a lustful way. There's a difference between lust and love, as energetically, with yourself, with your body. Be in tune with your body. In one way, you can drain yourself. In another way, you can heal yourself. Fellas, I'm saying mostly as fellas, most of us, we abuse our sexual energy. We drain our sexual energy. And then we wonder why women don't find us attractive. Okay? When you hold on to your sexual energy, not just for the sake of holding on to your sexual energy, but holding on to your sexual energy for the sake of cultivating your vitality so that you can live in tune with your purpose, okay? You can nourish your health. Women will naturally find you more attractive. There's nothing they can do about it. I'm just kidding, but for real, it's true. It's very true. Even if you're married, I would highly suggest discussing with your partner, having an honest conversation on whether or not you all are having more lustful sexual sessions, or is the nature of your sex life more of a loving sexual expression? Even if you're married, you can be having very draining sex. Okay? So if you want to take your relationship with your especially when you're married, if your boyfriend and girlfriend, with all due respect, but if your boyfriend and girlfriend, it's not that serious yet. Okay? Until he puts a ring on it, ladies, it's not that serious yet. All right? If you are married and you feel like you're at a place in life where your energy's stagnant, maybe you're not making the type of money you want to be making, Maybe you're angry, frustrated, depressed, health issues. Preserving your sexual energy can only benefit your life. Draining your life force, draining your energy, I've done it most of my life. I'm not speaking from theory, I'm not speaking from belief when I tell you I am literally feeling and experiencing more of a youthful life now that I'm moderating my sexual energy. Okay, I'm 27 years young. Started indulging in pornography at around the age of probably 13, 14 years old, perhaps younger. All right. So I got at least 13 years of abuse. If you are like me and you've been into corn, especially if you've watched corn, it's psychologically perverts the mind, and then it still drains the life force, because the life force is an energy. The life force operates not only as an intelligence, but on the lower spectrum, it operates through electromagnetism. So when you are watching something, there's a energetic exchange there. And corn only carries the energy of lust. As a matter of fact, corn is worse than actually sleeping with someone. Okay? It's psychologically more damaging. Right? Better to use your imagination. And even your imagination, you have to have limitations, not limitations. You have to have moderation and limitations on your imagination, because if you are married, even if you're in a relationship, if you are married, you're not supposed to be thinking about somebody else, especially in a lustful way. Especially in a lustful way. Your thoughts have an effect on your psyche. That's why stress is one of the number one killers in the United States. It's your thoughts. Okay? So yeah, as far as the marriage, it's called Montauk Chia. All right, the way of the multi-orgasmic man, Montauk Chia. All right, you have a lot of, I study, I read. You have a lot of married couples who they never were taught this stuff. They really need to teach this stuff in school. I mean, at least college. Okay. But yeah, you and your partner, you all both learn how to hold on to your and conserve and build up your life force energy. Do you know that you all will be able to just have more energy to do the things that you need to do in life? Yeah. You can only benefit from that. Do I believe in marriage? No. I understand that marriage is a blessing. There's nothing to believe in, okay? I understand that marriage is a blessing and a privilege from the Most High. Let me say this. A successful marriage is a blessing from the Most High. A successful marriage is not a birthright. A successful marriage is not a necessity. One has to earn a successful marriage. I've never been married. I want to be married. I plan on being married. And I understand that I have work to do if I want to prepare for a successful marriage. Right now, we're going with the free form. We are going with the free form. Appreciate it. Okay? Personally, I'm dating right now. I'm more in my Nikola Tesla phase right now. Okay? I'm feeling a lot more Nikola Tesla. Women right now, I gotta focus on me, myself, and we'll pick women back up in a couple years when I've done enough healing work. Okay? cultivating these principles of wisdom, principles of peace, principles of selflessness, of devotion to my spiritual growth, of my passion of teaching and sharing my information and experience with others. Give myself a couple years. The divination and oracle system of the Metu Neter, when it comes to the Metu Neter series, not everyone applies themselves to the degree of using the oracle. I personally use the oracle. It is my ability to communicate with the divine, okay? Not necessarily praying, but going into a communication with the divine to guide me toward my marriage. Also, being able to communicate with elders who embody the teachings brought forth by Ra'u Nefer Amen, these Kemetic teachings, being able to consult them. I understand, based on the reading through the science of divination, what God has told me about my readiness for marriage. So I'm not seeking a partner right now because of my opinion, because of my belief. I'm not seeking a partner right now because when I asked God through the use of an oracle, God said X, Y, and Z. Okay? This is a traditional African method of communication with the divine. Totally normal in cultures of Yoruba, cultures of the Ewe of Vodun, cultures of the Dilogon of Santeria, or the practice of Dilogon of Santeria, cultures of the Dogon of Mali, okay, and cultures such as the Dahomey tribes. Totally normal. All right? And again, this is not limited to Black African people. I've just only seen Black African people use it. Okay? And I would say that this is the only true source of liberation and our path of wisdom and power for us to bring a level of harmony to oppressed people here in the United States. I truly, I know that everybody says their religion and their spirituality and their way of life is the truth. I get it, right? But you don't ever hear people talk about divination and oracles being a key to success to Black liberation. I'm probably one of the only TikTok creators that will actually say that. I'm probably the only influencers apart from Ra'u Nefer Amen himself, who's not an influencer. He's a priest. But I'm probably the only influencer both on YouTube and on TikTok who will say that. Okay? Oracle, Tehuti is an oracle. Okay? The I Ching is an oracle. And the way that seek and ye shall find in terms of understanding the oracle, going deeper into the how to use an oracle. Okay? All I know is it takes serious studying and serious application to do it correctly. I'm a novice. I'm just beginning. I can't even begin to estimate how much more wisdom how much more wisdom I have to cultivate. I can't even begin to understand. Because even 2 months ago, I was nowhere near where I'm at now. No, you're good. You're good, Moses. Woo. All right. So I hope you all were able to, if it resonated, keep it. If it doesn't, leave it. All right. You can check out more of my content, Instagram, YouTube, through the link in my bio. There is the Comedic 11 Laws of Ma'at Health, Wealth, and Success course. You don't necessarily have to have the Oracle. You don't have to have any of the volumes. The Ma'at 11 Laws of Ma'at, the Ma'at 11 Laws of God course, Health Keys to Health, Wealth, and Success. I make no money off of that. That is just me directing people to a source of a spiritual curriculum that they can use to cultivate a authentic relationship with God. I'm not saying you don't have a relationship with your higher self, with your spirit guides, with your ancestors, or with the divine right now. I'm not saying you don't have that. What I'm saying is there's a systematic approach, a curriculum, so that you can undoubtedly observe your spiritual growth. And you can increase the likelihood of your blessings by applying yourself to a lifestyle change of cultivating your behavior. Okay? It's working top down. A lot of people are trying to find the money, they're trying to find the love, they're trying to find the travel, they're trying to use the food, the friends, the fame. They're trying to use anything else but besides wisdom and divine power, which divine power is only really cultivated by protecting your energy and cultivating your energy and learning how to meditate, learning how to live in accordance with the laws, which increases your power of manifestation. And this in turns aligns you with the blessings that you ultimately want. I'm not new to this. I mean, technically, I would say I'm new to this in comparison to a veteran who's been in their conscious spiritual awakening for 20 plus years. Mine started 3 years ago. But I've already been through the phase of having a vision, having thoughts, manifesting, appearing in my life, and that manifestation not being what I actually wanted. So if you're listening to this live right now, you probably have some experience with psychic abilities. You probably have some experience with blessings. You probably have some experience with manifesting things that you may not have exactly wanted. Why? Because we can bring things into our existence by focusing on them with our minds and then realize it's not what we actually wanted, or it's not what we actually needed. Yeah, that part's, especially if you manifested a relationship, you manifested a twin flame. Oh yeah, I've been there. Okay, so why does this happen? Because once we realize, wait a second, I can bring things into my reality by focusing on them in my mind and then working toward them, but it may not be exactly what I want. Why? Because what I bring into my life is based on my awareness of myself. So to the degree that you are aware of who you are is the degree that you are aware of what you are allowed to receive. The ability to guide yourself toward more blessings in your life, ancient Cometians discovered that God is best at doing that, aka the wisdom faculty we call Tehuti. And thank goodness we are made in the likeness of God. So our connection to God's will, God's wisdom, is our connection to our higher self, our divine wisdom. So flesh, avatar, consciousness, navigate spirit, wisdom, God. God, wisdom, consciousness, flesh. Okay? So this is truly a vehicle, and you can tap into higher states of who you are, right? And there does not have to be a separation that you are just a finite, mortal, puny human, and God is this untouchable, unreachable, can't really help me entity. Okay? You can access wisdom, you can access divine peace, you can access divine power. But I will say this, and I will wrap this up. It is simple, but not easy. Okay? The Ma'at 11 Laws of God course, Keys to Health, Wealth, and Success. Well, first of all, the 11 Laws of God PDF is free through the link in my bio. Maybe you're a Christian, maybe you're Islam, maybe you're Judaism, maybe you're a spiritualist, maybe you're atheist, maybe you're agnostic, maybe you're Buddhist. Okay? Maybe you're Hindu. The PDF will give you the 11 laws of the spirit. Even just reading those laws and seeking to incorporate those laws into your life will benefit your life. Even just reading the PDF, free through the link in my bio. You want to take it to the next step, you start applying yourself and putting yourself through the course. Okay? You want to take it to the next step, you start getting the books and you start reading the philosophies and the science behind the course. And you continue to pursue and go deeper. I got my YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. Top link through the link in my bio. One-on-one consultations. Again, Kemetic spirituality may not be for you. You might be in your journey might be whatever that is. If you want a one-on-one consultation on where you're at, where you're coming from, and where you're trying to go, book a holistic health and wellness one-on-one consultation. I got my ebook and my audiobook for breath work, which is the foundation of meditation, which also comes with a free 15-minute consultation. Meditation is a wide science. Meditation is like the ocean. Are you taking a rowboat? Are you taking a speedboat? You taking a little yacht? Or are you taking a mega yacht? What kind of boat are you taking in your journey of meditation? Not all meditation is created equal. There is an ineffective way to meditate. There is an effective way to meditate. Learning how to meditate is fundamental to tapping into higher states of consciousness. There's meditation for wisdom. There's meditation simply to increase more oxygen into the body, more healing effects into the body. Okay? So please do not assume that you know all there is to know about meditation. Simply put, in volume 1, in some forms of mastery of meditation, they breathe 1 breath per minute for up to 24 hours. 1 breath per minute for up to, or at least, for up to and at least 24 hours. I didn't think that was possible. I thought that you would die if you did something like that. But this is why they don't teach things like this in school, because that limits the human potential. And in reality, you're not human. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. Big difference. So, I appreciate everybody for coming to the live. Like I said, I hope y'all learned something. If it resonated, keep it. If it didn't, leave it. This is Hefen S-ankh Tepra. Check out the rest of my content. Like, subscribe. Hope y'all have a beautiful rest of your night. Peace to the gods. Peace to the goddesses. And peace to the family. Thank you for the gifts, Tony.